I-37 in the Tennessee Valley. And we are just so excited that we have our guest in the studio. None other, we're on Facebook too, y'all. We're on Facebook and on YouTube right now at Praise 90.1 FM WJOU. And you can go there and visit us there. You can see Jahni right here sitting with me here in the studio. So he is our special Black History Month breakfast chat today. He's an artist and he's an art collector. So much. I just keep saying those two things, but there's so much more about you. Good morning and thanks for being here.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
All right, so how do you feel, first of all, that we're highlighting you as an African American legacy person here in Huntsville? How does that make you feel?
Well, it's nothing like being honored from home. Being honored right here on the very soil in which I was nourished. Then back here on these grounds that helped shape my life, formerly and presently, and of course the future as well. So being back here to do this, it's humbling to say the least.
Yes, well, I'm just excited to have you here, so we can talk about the mark that you are making. You are a living, breathing history being made every day.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about what you do, first of all, and then we'll talk about how you got started.
You kind of said it, you said making a mark. I'm a mark maker.
Yeah.
That's what as artists, we refer to it as mark making when we paint, draw, sculpt, or whatever. So that's what I do. I take certain elements, physical elements, clay, paint, charcoal, graphite, and I combine those things with emotion, social aspects, even scientific at times, and create something that the public can receive.
Wow. So tell me about the type of art. When people see your pieces, is there something that really kind of makes it stand out and says, yeah, that's Jahni's right there?
Well, I've asked that question oftentimes
Really?
of other people because personally I don't see it as I'm the one turning it out. But what I try to, my intent is for the work to bring about a sense of life. Okay. I want my work to be imbued with spirit. For example, if I'm doing a portrait, it's not enough for me to copy the image, to create a rendering. I want to actually know about the person. I want to know about what they did. I want to get into them, so to speak. And that way, when I create the work, it's not just a resemblance, it's also possesses a spirit.
Okay. So, and you've done you do murals, basically.
I do, yes.
Is that doesn't encompass all of the work that you do?
No.
Okay.
Basically, I'm a creative spirit manifest in the flesh.
Yes.
Whatever my hands find to do, I'm going to do that in a creative way.
Nice.
Whether it's writing, whether it's on canvas, stage, or film, the most important thing of all those things is the impression upon the minds of those I influence.
And what is that impression that you really want? Is a consistent impression that you're trying to make, or does that change as well from piece to piece?
Well, life begets life, and that's what I look at my work. I want to imbue life. Mm-hmm. I remember as a child when I would find a dead bird or a dead rabbit, I thought about the idea of energy flowing through us. What allows me to walk and breathe, and allows and where this thing is resigned to lie there and to go back into the earth. And I always felt that there was a possibility that I could transfer energy, that I could touch this thing and bring it back to life. And because it's all about energy.
Yeah.
Jesus never did a surgery. Mm-hmm. We don't hear about any surgery. It was an energy, a transfer of divine energy. Mm-hmm. And if we're created, like for example, if I create a work of art, we refer to that as a Jahni, or a piece of work as a Picasso. Mm-hmm. So if they refer to us as being the handiwork of God, so they refer to us, that's a God.
Wow.
So I possess those energies within me. Mm-hmm. And so I always felt as a child that was possible. Mm-hmm. And so with my art, I get a chance to sort of do that. Because if you think about the story of Frankenstein, how the electricity, then that arc, once that arc of electricity hit that form, that lifeless body, it came to life. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So my art, I see as that arc of electricity that carries that energy into the viewer. Mm-hmm. And my goal is for them to be infused, activated with the sense of energy to go and do. Because ultimately what I want to see happen, and I think what will make this world run so much smoother, is if everybody does that thing that's in them to do. It's like each part of a car has a particular duty to perform. If all those things are done well, the car runs fine. But if one part gets off, it's going to affect how that car runs. And the same with us as humans. All of us here are part of the large continuum, part of the body of the machine that runs this planet. So if some of us are off, and then it's going to throw off the operation of our world.
Wow. So you said something about creating that life through your art. Is there one particular piece that you've done that you feel like it really just completely 100% did that? And what is that piece?
Well, I'd love to say it's been created already.
Right.
I think every piece is a working toward that piece.
So not any particular one that you would say that's just
can't-
kind of rises above the rest of your pieces?
I really can't say that. It's almost like saying which one of your children is the favorite.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So with the art, I always say it's going to be the next piece, and that keeps me on that trajectory moving forward and looking forward to the next thing, because just like in life, your blood is always flowing, so the creativity is always moving through me for the next thing. Not that I don't enjoy the present, but at the same time, it's a forward-moving trajectory that I'm on.
Wow. So let's talk about when you started. How did you realize that you had this gift in painting and artistry?
Well, I think the first time I really realized it was after the first time that I experienced it. At about, I guess, 3 or 4 years old, looking at the time where I was around. I wasn't in school yet. And I remember getting in trouble for something. The first thing I can't remember. But I was put in a corner, and back then most of the houses had white walls, and I ended up drawing on the wall, and I got in trouble for that. But what I remember is that feeling of making this mark on this space, and even when I pulled my hands away, that mark was there, something I'd created.
Right.
I remember that feeling at that age. I can't give you any words about the whole experience, except, I did get in trouble. And it wasn't just go sit to the corner.
Yeah.
You had an introduction to the corner.
Right. This
There was
is
some
your
pain
corner, right?
so you got a chance to sit there and think about the pain you just endured.
Right.
And so I drew in the corner and got in trouble again. But it seemed more worth it because, something about making that mark on that wall. And I always tell parents is, if you watch your children closely enough, they'll let you know what they're going to do in life. Now, if my mom had any inkling that I would one day make my living making marks on walls,
Right.
maybe she would have viewed that a little different. But,
So that's right. Now this is your full-time making a living as an artist, but you were teaching. You said you taught at Oakwood
I taught
University.
back in the early 2000s. I did a stint, I think a year and a half adjunct here at Oakwood.
Okay.
I've taught from kindergarten to college.
Right.
I did Drake, did some time at A&M. But I always told my students, I'm not an art teacher. I'm an artist who teaches, and there's a difference.
Yeah, I can see that, because sometimes you have teachers that are doing art, and it doesn't really flow into the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
And that's how you can kind of tell this is a teacher that's doing art, because it's not a part of their life. And your life just totally that got absorbed by your art.
That's it.
So listen, so as an African American artist, are there issues that you have had to deal with to navigate or address race and identity in representation of your work? Have you ever had any experiences like that?
To some extent, I think they're more historical than present. We've seen a change over the last few years. The main issue, I think, was access. The accessibility to be in those museums and galleries. But if you notice, there have been more African American artists in these major collections over the last number of years. When you have icons that come out like the Jean-Michel Basquiat's, whose work back in 2016 sold for $110 million. You have those kind of things happening. All of a sudden now, when the dollars line up, they begin to turn their heads and say, okay, there's money here. And they begin to invest therein. And also, too, I think 2020, we saw a major surge. America kind of, they opened their eyes or they blinked really hard, and they realized, okay, there's value here, because many artists spoke out during that time.
Yes.
And I think many Americans who felt that they didn't necessarily need to help out, they realized during that time that their their quietness, their silence was also their complicity to what was happening. Namely speaking of, I guess the one that stands out the most is the George Floyd assassination or murder. That one, so I think all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is happening, but it's something we've known all the time in our communities. Right. We live with that. Right. So it put it before the rest of the world.
Wow. So what would you say to other artists out there like you for being so successful? What does it take? What's that remedy? What's that recipe? Or what do you think is the advice that they need to continue to work in their field and be successful like you are?
First of all, I think you have to have an anchor, and that anchor has to be centered within you, because there are people who are going to tell you that you can't do this, it's not realistic, because the truth of the matter is you have 100% of people who go to art schools for that particular profession. They have a 2% chance of actually making it as an artist.
Right.
And those were stats that came out like in 2021.
I didn't know it was that low.
98% end up doing something else. They may still do art on their own or at home or something, but 98% of them end up not using that particular degree.
Wow.
So you have to have a drive that's internal, and it has to be linked to something. For me, it's my spiritual beliefs.
Wow.
Because if I'm linked to the source, I'm never going to run out of ideas. I'm never going to run out of things to do. And I'm always pushing for as much authenticity as possible. Yeah. Because picture that as a window. If you have a window and it's clouded with all these different things we deal with in life, as you wipe that window clean, getting back to the essence of who you are, that reveals more and more of your authenticity. So I'm on a journey back to being as much me as I was before somebody told me who I was supposed to be.
Wow, come on now. Deep, deep, deep. So listen, we are on Facebook and on YouTube, and we have a couple of comments here. Would you consider yourself in that class, or is that a totally different class? Let's see, would you consider yourself in that class? I'm not sure what that one is responding to. So if you can rephrase your question on Facebook and let us know, clarify your question, we'll ask Jahni that question there. But so Jahni, are there any memorable experiences or challenges that you've had over your career while working on your projects in public or anything?
Well, not directly. I can't say I've directly had challenges. Once again, I think the issue has been access. But there are situations where I've had to go into areas that were considered dangerous. For example, in 2012 and 2014, I was blessed to be able to travel to South America, Colombia, as an art ambassador. And one of these subjects we were dealing with was, the second time I went, was violence. So we went into some of the neighborhoods that were notoriously violent, like La Sierra. There's a YouTube video about that, how dangerous it was. And they wanted me to create an image that would sort of unify the area. Okay. So I remember going up there and sitting down for a few minutes and went into meditation, and I saw the image I wanted to create. And so I pulled my assistants together and we created that image. During the time we were there, there were no incidents whatsoever. And of course, everybody was talking about how powerful the work was. But I think that was the only time when there was a sense of danger in the air. But as an artist, I never felt that in my chest, because I felt like what I'm bringing, what I'm offering, is much more than anybody could actually take away. In Chicago, I would go to the South Side. Certain neighborhoods, they said, stay out of there, stay out of there. I would go to Chicago, to South Side, places like Inglewood and the West Side, and do street art, because I wanted those people to have art that was just as viable, just as relevant as work you would find downtown in the Loop at the Art Institute. So
do you feel that art plays an important role in fostering social change and promoting community engagement? Do you feel that it does that?
Oh yeah, art is at the bedrock of it, and I don't want to necessarily toot my horn per se, but if I'm driving my car, I guess I'm the one in that spot to do that. But I'm speaking of art, that creative agency in general. Artists are the architects of culture. They're the ecclesiastical engineers. They're purveyors of possibilities. They're the resurrectors of dreams. So when you think about all of that, yes, it is embedded in the very fiber of our being,
Yes.
Socially and psychologically as well.
Wow. Well, it's been so great to have you. Now, what I want you to do now is tell us where in the Tennessee Valley and in the country we can go and find some of your pieces and enjoy them.
Okay. Well, on the campus of Alabama A&M University, there are several pieces there. One near the radio station, one near the Student Center. There's work in CCN Carver Complex, North the Education Department, and also publicly on Governor's Drive. There's a piece I did last year called Us. There's work at Mid-City, multiple pieces at Mid-City, and you'll see more in the upcoming this year and later. There's also work at Clinton at Seminole. There's a piece I did with a group of students there. Right downtown near Publix, across from Bryant Bank, next to Redstone. There's the piece I did also, that was last year as well. And Boys and Girls Clubs and other places I can't even think of right now.
And around the country, what cities can we find your work as
Let me
well?
see, Seattle, of course, throughout different places in Alabama, Chicago, there's pieces in New York. And see, a lot of this was done as street art.
Yes, okay.
Where I went incognito.
So it was, so it wasn't commissioned.
No.
It was,
No,
okay, I got you.
Because, see, here's the thing,
Wow.
and I can say this now because a lot of it is beyond the statute of limitation, plus they'd have to prove it was me. Like in Chicago, when
Yeah.
I'm working with this prestigious SAIC, this university museum, but by night, I would go out into these neighborhoods early mornings and do street art, and that was what I would give to people.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
there's some of that in Huntsville,
Yes.
and they know it now. In other cities, I would go to these neighborhoods and give them some art.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. So you're all over the world.
Yes.
Right. All right. So listen, as we get ready to close, we have one of your series that you did. I think it's Roots. Is it Roots?
Yeah, it's from the Red Clay series.
From the Red Clay series. And I want to give this away to one of our viewers or our listeners. So tell us about that. This is
Okay.
the one we want to give away.
All right, so this piece is called Roots to Rockets. And when you think about this Tennessee Valley starting out with as an agricultural city built on this red clay, to go from that, you know, basically almost like a one-horse town, to the space travel, the technical and engineering ingenious things that we've done from this area, that's miracle. That's
Right,
a miracle.
right.
I know the piece called Miracle Territory, but this piece called Roots to Rocket is actually painted with Alabama red clay.
Wow.
Yes, but this is a print.
that?
And on the back, I've included a little bit of information about the whole clay process,
Yes.
how it plays a part in my life, and a vial of Alabama red clay.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I remember as a kid just playing in that clay, and actually I'll say eating a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
All that.
we all did. Well, we want to give this away to one of our viewers, and I'm going to have you call, and maybe I'll give it to someone on Facebook or YouTube because you're watching there. All right, so listen, how about you tell me what the name of this piece is that we're just giving away? What did he just say the name of it was? If you put it in the comments, we'll give this to you. All right, and this is going to be coming from Jahni Moore, and we are so thankful to have you here and to have you as a community member of the Tennessee Valley, born and raised right here, living history.
That's it, died in the flesh.
Thank you so much for being with us. Hey, listen, we're going to be back with more information and more music and another chance for you to win the ticket to the concert next week. That's coming up after this. All right, guys, thank you for joining. Do you have the answer to the question? Post it there. Nope, that's not it, Ty. Not it, Ty. Somebody else want to try before he goes? I don't think they can hear me, though, actually. Can y'all hear me? It's 3 people on there. It's the name of the actual piece. Let me type. Can I type that in there?
Yeah.
Let me get this thing going. Make sure I got my music and everything playing. All right, so they're going. So, all right, I'm gonna try. All right. Let me see. What's 57? We're going to try to give. If not, what we'll do is I'll just, in the next hour, I'm going to mention it, and then I'll get them to call in. Yeah, because they're not. All right, so we're going now, y'all. See ya.